to Teachers Talk Radio. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for downloading this episode from Teachers Talk Radio. You can find the full schedule and listen back to all our shows at ttradio.org. Enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome to Teachers Talk Radio. We are live as always. This is one of 5 shows today on Teachers Talk Radio. If you've missed it, the weekly review has just finished. You can catch up with that on our YouTube channel, Teachers Talk Radio on YouTube. Also, if you want to catch any of our other shows, you can just visit the website ttradio.org and you can click the page that says listen back, and you can listen back to any show that you like. We have over 1,000 shows in there. Really excited. In a few moments, I'm going to be handing over to Toria for her first show on Teachers Talk Radio. Before I do that, it would be good for me to mention our 2 sponsors, which is John Catt Educational and Reading Solutions UK. And you'll find out more about them over the course of the next hour. Toria, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not used to doing live shows, so I'm very grateful to you, Tom, for being around. And I'm very grateful to everyone that's already, I can see people have already tuned in, so that's feeling good, because I'm really excited about my first show on Teacher Talk Radio, because today we're going to be discussing how we survive the autumn term. I don't know about you or anyone that's already tuned in, but actually I'm already on my knees as we've completed 7 weeks and we still have 1 week to go in my neck of the wood. I'm really grateful because I'm joined today by the wonderful Shelley Cousins. So she's a psychology lead in a large secondary school in Somerset. She's also assistant head of English, and thankfully, Tom, you're here as well. And we're going to be discussing, how we keep going, those challenges, the things that we've learned over the years, and the things that actually, we think that, what well-being is to us. And listeners, if you are tuning in and you fancy having your views mentioned as well, then just text into the conversation. And I believe that you can also be added to the conversation to express your views. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, so any listener, all you need to do in the bottom left-hand side, there is a little microphone icon, a little blue microphone icon. So if you want to get involved in the conversation, you can just click that and then we will add you in as a speaker at any point.
Oh, how exciting. So without further ado, welcome to Shelley, who I believe has already been added as a speaker. So hi, Shelley.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We spoke the other day and both of us were sort of very much feeling underneath it because it was a Thursday evening. So how was your Friday and how are you doing now you're at the weekend?
Friday was my best day of the week. I had an amazing day. I think the highlight of my Friday was staff tug of war on Friday lunchtime. We've introduced a new house system at our school this year, and every Friday we have a different house event. And I've missed it every Friday up to this point because I do detention duty on a Friday lunchtime. But
oh my goodness.
I got released for good behaviour to go and be made part of Maple House's tug of war team. And the students got the opportunity to come and watch as teams of 8 teachers from around the different school departments took part in a tug of war competition.
How wonderful.
So it was amazing. The atmosphere was literally electric. The excitement of the staff and the students, and actually that was a really good thing for my well-being to be part of that, plus the fact we won as well, which makes it even better. But it was just that moment of feeling together as part of a team, but also for the students to be coming up afterwards, high-fiving everybody and cheering everybody along. So Friday was quite easily best day of the week. Absolutely amazing.
I love that. Do you know what? Friday is absolutely, without doubt, the best day of my teaching week as well, purely for one reason. This sounds awful. It's Sandwich Friday. So we order sandwiches from the local sandwich shop and they deliver them. And we've got a whole sandwich club going on at school, and everyone joins in. And it's great fun because, you just know that your sandwich is going to be in the fridge. And someone said to me on Friday this, do you know what's so lovely, Toria? You wake up on a Friday morning and you think, I don't need to make my lunch. And it's
Oh, I
just those
love
things.
that.
Yeah, it's so good, honestly. It's those tiny things that I think make us feel so much better in school.
Yeah, little things can make a huge difference. Absolutely.
Massive. Now, how many weeks? Are you like me? You've already done 7 weeks and you've still got 1 week to go.
Yes, this time next week I'll be enjoying my first weekend of the holidays. But yes, it's a long slog, I have to say. And then I think we've got another 7 or 8 weeker in the run up to Christmas as well. So a week off doesn't feel like much in the grand scheme of things. It's well needed at this stage.
Well, I was flicking through Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, the other day, and discovered someone had put a post up about their child's term times being different, and the fact that actually they've got a 2 week half term because what they do is they do co-curricular activities that after school on a Wednesday. And that actually adds on an extra week in the October half term. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I just seen that actually. I was just having a flick through myself. I quite like that idea, in all fairness. So many of us run after school clubs. I just think, certainly at secondary level, our amazing PE department, crumbs, if we went for all the things that they ran after school, they'd probably be entitled to an extra month off over the course of the year because they do so much after school. It's absolutely huge. I do quite like that idea. A 2 week half term really does appeal, and I'm aware of other academies, certainly in our local area, that do it. Not from doing an extra hour on a Wednesday, but kind of rejiggling kind of inset days, other holidays. And so they've got that 2 week window, October into November, which I do like. But personally, I wouldn't be adverse to doing the extra hour. I don't tend to leave early anyway. So the opportunity to accrue a holiday in that way would be quite lovely, I think. 2 weeks, I'm all for.
Well, initially, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, totally. I could totally do that. If we did, I always advocated the 6 week, 2 week idea. I came up with this. I always thought if I was in charge of the world, I'd make everyone do 6 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, etc., as you do. But someone messaged back that they said that the last school that they had worked in had a 2 week October half term and it caused them to lose their momentum. And I thought, do you know what? Actually, I can see that happening because it's rather like riding a bicycle. I've got summer, I've got right off the bicycle. The bicycle was ditched completely and
Yeah.
utterly. It was thrown out the window. I did the odd bit. I went and did the odd display, but fundamentally the bicycle was ditched. Got on at the beginning of September. Had that time. I don't know if you get it, where I sort of forget how to ride the bicycle. I worry that I've forgotten. By now, I'm back. I'm back there. I'm pedaling. I'm moving forward. And I don't know if I'd be great if I took 2 weeks off it, but maybe that's just me. What about you?
I think I absolutely get what you're saying about kind of you're there in the moment and you just keep going and keep going. I think the strange thing is that after Christmas, when we go back, we've only got a 5 week half term and then we're off again. And whereas we're going from these really long half terms to lots of 8 weeks, which is a bit of a killer. Equally, the other side of Christmas, I find a 5 week half term quite frustrating because you get into your stride and then you stop. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts. I think there's the autumn term is intense for me. Like, I know everybody celebrates New Year, 1st of January, and it's all wonderful. I always find that the biggest anticlimax of the year. As far as I'm concerned, my year starts in September.
Yes.
And and that's it. Nobody will ever tell me any differently. And there's a lot going on though in September. Whether you start a new school and you're having to approach everything from afresh, or you're at the same school that you've been at for a number of years, inevitably you've got new systems, new team members. There's so much going on, and sometimes it can be that overload. So I would say my half term will look like doing absolutely nothing for a few days, just whilst I get over the shock of the intensity, and then a few days to enjoy, and then back to it, and straight back into mock exams and the such like. So it's definitely a challenge.
It is, and I completely hear you on the length of terms and then the holidays, and the fact that actually, because of the way that they're placed, you do have sort of a 16-week autumn term, you have the shortest spring term known to mankind, and then for teachers in England, not so much Scotland and Northern Ireland, but we go through to the third week of July, by which point in time the children are on their knees, the teachers and leaders are completely wiped out, but we keep going. It just feels that there's no sort of equilibrium. And the other thing that I really heard from you a moment ago is that full off, full onness. We're either full off or we're full on, and we're expected to come back ready to go. So my question, I suppose, to you is, over the holidays, are you one of these people that dips in and out of work to keep yourself going?
I do. It's a bit of a joke. It's a bit of a joke in my department. I do love to be busy. I don't deal very well with not having something to do. I really struggle. Not because I certainly don't want anybody to kind of glorify this idea of being a workaholic. It's not about that. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. So quite often, and I did it during the summer holidays, I'm lucky enough, I've got a home office. I'll just be kind of wandering along, and I'll wander past my office, and I think, I'll just do that. And then I disappear into my office, maybe for a couple of hours. But I really enjoy writing my lessons and constructing things. And for me, and one of the things that we talked about earlier in the week is this idea that actually that's something that's good for my well-being, to spread my workload out a little bit, rather than going into a term where I feel that I'm not prepared, which will stress me out more. If it means that here and there, every now and again, I can go and do a little bit of work, maybe plan a lesson, create a resource, and then walk away from it, that's what works for me. I'm constantly on the lookout. Not, I would say, actively on the lookout, but I'll kind of be out and about, and I'll think, I could use that for work. Most famously, there's a rather fantastic abandoned pier just outside Weston-super-Mare. And we'd been out for the day, and we were driving past, and I said to my husband, stop the car. So I'm jumping out of the car to take photos. He said, what are you doing? And the first thing that pinged in my mind was, I can use this for creative writing. And so I was taking these pictures so I could kind of put it all together into a lesson. So in that respect, I would say I'm not always...
That's awful, Shelley, isn't it?
I know. It's one of those. It just brought me kind of that happiness of the moment of, I can use that, and that's going to be beautiful. And it wasn't that I was consciously like, I need to be on the lookout for something I need to do for work.
No, I'm the same with history type stuff. I always fall into that, and I sort of don't like it, because I should really be just focusing on enjoying what it is rather than thinking about how it can be used. But anyway,
absolutely. But yeah, you just sometimes you do just kind of find those find those moments. And
yeah, I've got to say though, when it's a day out with the old husband and it's literally pull over, I found something for teaching purposes. It's a little harsh, just a little.
It is a little harsh, but I think he's used to me by now. Our running joke is that we can't go on holiday anywhere in the world without him bumping into somebody that he knows. So fair's fair.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure all our listeners have got exactly those same stories where they've just seen something that, oh my goodness, this is going to totally transform my class's life.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
completely.
everyone, for tuning in. And do let us know any of your stories about what you've done. Just, text us in. And just reminding you that this show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. And Reading Solutions UK. Reading Solutions UK is the home of Dreambox Reading Plus, the online reading development programme. Create stronger readers in your school from Key Stage 2 to beyond GCSE using Reading Plus's evidence-based adaptive technology. Reading Plus accurately assesses your students' skills gaps and places them on a personalised learning pathway built to accelerate their strengths and improve on their areas for development. You can try the programme with a free 4-week pilot today. Search Reading Solutions UK to find their website and request your free pilot. So, back to surviving the autumn term and Shelley's confessions about what she has put her husband through over their years of marriage. So, well-being.
Sorry, it's quite funny.
Thank you. Every so often we attempt humour. Sometimes it falls flat, but I appreciate the fact that that was laughed at. So, back to well-being. We've discussed different terms, we've discussed different thoughts. As I say, listeners, if you've got thoughts on this, do text us and let us know. If you have a 2-week holiday for half term and it works for you, do let us know. Now, well-being, you touched on this, Shelley, the fact that actually, you do use the holidays to, and indeed your days out with your husband, to do a bit of schoolwork, because actually it's good for your well-being, it makes you feel great, etc. I work with so many teachers because I work in a 6th-form intake junior school. So we've got, I think, 24 classes, we've got so many teachers, and we've got a well-being committee. And often we discuss, well, what well-being is, and instead we get into these major debates because everyone feels that well-being's different. So I'm going to take emails. So emails is one of the most contentious things we have discussed really in the Wellbeing Committee, because some people think that emails shouldn't be sent after a certain time. Some people think they should. Some people think that no one should have them on their phone. Other people think they should. What are your views on emails?
I used to have them on my phone as
Mhm.
the app. I don't have the app on my phone anymore, but I still do access emails through my phone. And I will usually do that up until about 5:30 in the afternoon. I'm usually home by about 4:30, 5 o'clock anyway, but inevitably that drive from school back to home, there'll probably be about another 20 emails that will come through. Our policy is that if it's outside of the regular hours, I want to say it's between 5:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning. So when you go to send an email outside of those hours, there's an automatic pop-up that asks us if we would actually like to schedule the send inside working hours rather than outside of the working hours. It's the second school that I've worked at where they've been perhaps a lot stricter for staff wellbeing, because I've had it before now in previous job roles. It was still quite common for the deputy head and myself to be emailing each other 10 o'clock at night discussing something that was going on. And I think what I've done certainly in this role now is take that step back, and I definitely wouldn't be doing that because I don't think it was necessarily good for me. the argument, I suppose, would be I didn't necessarily have to read those emails. But for me, it's always kind of knowing there in my mind, oh, are there emails waiting for me? But I would say people are much more aware now of timings of emails being sent. But again, it can be a double-edged sword, because in my previous school, we'd have no emails to be sent after 5:30 in the afternoon and not before 7:30 in the morning. You get to 7:30 and then your email inbox would explode with all of the emails that had been sent on delay.
Yes.
And that in itself, even that's overwhelming, because you've had that moment of, oh, the email, and it just explodes because everybody's delayed and they've all sent at the same time. And you're still then left with the problem of being slightly overwhelmed as to what to do.
I'm just wondering, would you send emails in the holidays to people?
We all have an automatic out of office sent kind of set, and we are all told to do that by our safeguarding team and our FLT team before the holidays. I have sent emails, but only to members of staff that I know that are perhaps going to be available if we've been working on a particular project. So in my previous role, I was part of the team that had to be there on results day. So I would be there to do the destinations data on results day. So sometimes there needs to be, obviously I think it depends on job role. Certain members of SLT, for example, there's always somebody during the holidays for a week at least at a time that is kind of on call, if you like, for any issues that might arise. But I wouldn't say for those of us that don't perhaps have leadership positions, it shouldn't be something. And I'm sure there perhaps are schools out there that have it as an expectation, but I'm lucky enough to have never worked in a place where it would be an expectation, where you check your emails in the holidays or at the weekends or in the evening. Not at all. We're lucky as well. We have a return rate for replying to parents' emails as well. I think lots of schools have got that. I think it's varied between schools, but 48 to 72 hours to get back to people, unless obviously it's an urgent safeguarding. But again, it's about what works best for the individual. Different people will work in different ways.
Yeah, I'm someone that I would hate to miss an important email, so I do have them on my phone. But I no longer have notifications on my phone for them. So it doesn't flash up and it doesn't sort of go ping, 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 because that would just stress me out. Yeah. Now, Tom, I know you're there and I know you probably receive 1,000 emails all the time and you've worked in various different places. I'm just wondering, what do you do with emails?
I just get stressed and just get loads of them. What do I do with them? No, I don't have I don't have notifications on my phone. I don't have anything that flashes up to say. I literally check emails when I check emails.
Yeah.
I don't have any notifications on my phone at all.
No, I don't. Really... Not for emails. Not even my personal emails.
Oh.
Yeah, but on your personal work, are you saying?
Either. I don't have for both. I check them when I check them. But no, I don't for personal or work. Absolutely no notifications.
Yeah. No, that's I can't. I don't know how people do notifications for emails. I don't know how they do it, because it would just be bombardment, wouldn't it? I guess
it would. And I think emails is one of those things that can really impact on well-being, especially if you're having a great day out on a Sunday or whatever else, and then suddenly you've got this email flies in and you think, oh God, I've got to deal with it. And actually that great day out suddenly becomes that I've got to deal with this, and I've got this coming up and I've got that coming up, and it can really impact on our well-being. And
what do you think of what do you think of the, like, those ones where there's the rules around email sending? Do you agree with those, where it's like you cannot send an email between, I don't know, 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. or over weekends and stuff like that.
We had a long discussion in school about this. And actually, we decided that there are occasions, where actually an email may well need to be sent if there is something incredibly urgent. And then we had a discussion actually that if it was that urgent, would it be an email or would it be another form of communication if it was incredibly important? Because someone said actually, if it was that urgent and it was a safeguarding matter, would it be an email or would it actually be a phone call if it was that serious? So I think every school is absolutely different and it all depends on your school and what works best for you and your team. I mean, Shelley, what are your thoughts? You work in secondary, I work in primary.
Yeah, I would say the same, because we have such a large staff body, unless it was a safeguarding. And that's the thing, if it was a really, really urgent thing, I think most schools have kind of the text system. So if it was, we had before the summer holidays, we had some visitors onto the school site, which meant that we unfortunately had to close to students. And we've got a text message system. So if it's really, really urgent and we need to get hold of all the staff, and at my previous school, very rural, often hit by poor weather conditions, and it was a text message based system. So it didn't rely on email at all. So if there was something really, really urgent that you needed to get to staff, it went to their mobile phones via a text message and not an email anyway. So it's interesting to see, but I think perhaps technology's moved on in a slightly different way. We have a department WhatsApp chat. So if we have a quick question that we want to ask, because we're aware of the fact, certainly at the weekends, that people aren't necessarily going to have laptops, emails, anything like that open. If somebody's got a question, if they've made that decision to do some work, we'll pop it in the department WhatsApp group. And again, if people are available and can reply to that's fine. But there's no pressure, there's no expectation of anybody replying to things. But we've kind of moved away from emails and find that a quick WhatsApp message is just as effective.
WhatsApp does seem to be a wonderful way of communicating. My year 4 team, we all use WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp for attendance. We use with the year leaders and senior leaders. That seems to work really, really well, actually, just that quick form of communication. So I think you're right. There are so many different means of communication now, and it's not just a case of emails. I want to move on because I think we could discuss emails forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
I want to move on to, well, in a sense, back to your tug of war and actually what well-being looks like in your school and what sort of things are occurring to keep you all going through this autumn term.
We're really lucky, actually. We have a fantastic member of staff who is a teacher, but her extra role, her extra thing that she does is staff wellbeing.
Wow.
And she organises lots of different things. So we know that every week in the main office at school, there will be some kind of treat for us. So sometimes it's a sweet treat, sometimes it's a savoury treat, but it's just one of those little, if you're going in to check your pigeonhole, you know that there'll be something waiting for you.
Oh, and lovely.
It's only, it doesn't, again, it's the small things, and it can just be that moment of something that you need. But we've also got a buddy system at work as well, a secret buddy system. So you go at the beginning of each term, so kind of September, January, and then again round about April time, and you get the slip and you fill in the slip with your name, your department, things that you really like, perhaps a couple of things that you definitely don't like and should avoid. And everybody puts their names into a hat, and then it's drawn, and you are assigned a secret buddy. And the idea is that during that term, you will either pop a little something into someone's pigeonhole, leave it on the desk in their classroom, wherever it happens to be. But the idea is that your secret buddy will just surprise you every now and again with little treats. And the little treats is completely up to that person as to what it looks like. It might be food, it might be a book, it just absolutely anything. And it doesn't need to be expensive. But the idea is that, again, it's those little surprises that could be that pick you up moment at a really difficult time. And that's really, really popular as a whole school initiative. We're really lucky within our English department. We've actually got, we do different things during the year. Next week, we've got a secret mug kind of event, if you like.
Wow. What does that entail?
So those of us that wanted to take part, so teachers are really big on the mugs that they drink their tea and coffee from. We always are. They are, and it's a really special thing. So within our department, everybody got together. You could put your name on the list. And again, names were put in a hat. You drew out who you got. And I think we've got, it's a bit like Secret Santa, really, but for mugs. So we've got a £10 spending limit, and we're going out to get a mug for the person that we've picked out of the hat. So that's one that we've not done for quite some time. We did it at Easter as well. We all got Easter eggs for each other. Secret
that.
Easter bunny. It's just kind of little things, but again, within our department as well, we always make sure it's a busy office. There's lots of people. Our office is also shared by if we ever have any kind of student teachers within the department, we have all the supply teachers. They always send them to our department. We don't have one central staff room anymore, unfortunately, but everybody does have the bigger offices. Ours is really busy. So we make sure, because we all have different duties and in different places, but there will be one lunchtime before Christmas that we will all sit down. And again, we've got a big whiteboard. We all put our names up on the whiteboard, what food we're going to bring.
Yeah.
And we go in at lunchtime and we have a feast. In all fairness, it normally lasts us for 2 days because there is so much food. But we did it before Christmas, we did it at Easter time, and then we did it before the summer holidays as well. And it was just lovely to have that moment of, right, we're all going to stop, we're all going to sit down together and just eat together, catch up, and have those wonderful times. Because we've got, on a whole school level, there's staff socials that are organised as well.
Yep.
So next Friday, I think when everybody finishes, there's the option to go into the local town. And I think it's kind of skittles, drinks. They've had bowling at the end of half term before. There's a lovely Christmas kind of do that's being put on that you can sign up for. So the idea is that we have the more formal organised social events as well on a whole school level, as well as our individual departments. And it's lovely. You can drop in and out of them as you wish.
I think that's such a great idea. I mean, similar to you, due to the size of the school, we do all use the staff room, but because of the size of our school, our lunch times are split. So year 3-5 have theirs at 12 to 12:45, year 4-6 have 12:45 to 1:30. And we can be very much like little islands, even year 4 and 6, just not seeing each other. So we do shared lunches quite regularly for our sides as such. But the difficulty for us is seeing the other side. And so we do those whole staff socials just so we can actually get together. We did Tenpin bowling. Was it last week before last? We've got a Christmas do, like you were saying. But I just love the mug idea. So is the mug idea just for your department or for the whole school?
Just for our department.
Nice.
I think there are 8 of us taking part this week. So I made an order last night on Etsy for the lovely team member that I got, a lovely personalised mug. And it's just it's just, again, it only needs to be little things. I actually did it before I started in the role that I'm in, just as an introduction to the team. I did, I went and kind of raided my own bookshelves and got a couple of new books as well, wrapped them up and sent them in, and each person took away.
Gosh, you are the loveliest.
Oh, well, they're books. It's got to be done. Some 9 to 12 fiction and some young adult fiction, because reading is really important to our school. And the idea was, over the summer holidays, it was something for them to relax with, but also something they could then go into school and recommend to their students. Always looking for new ideas as to things that we can do. And
well,
again,
shall I share my latest idea?
Go on then.
So, well, this was exciting. I had a coffee with a friend who works in school over the summer, and both of us absolutely love sewing and knitting. It's a little known fact, listeners, that I do like all of those things. I keep it quiet because I don't necessarily have the best outcomes, but I do like doing it all. So we met up and we were like, do you know what? Wouldn't it be amazing if we like had a craft club at school? So we put it out on there's a whole school WhatsApp group, and that whole school WhatsApp group is a very, very social WhatsApp group for just, where you wish people happy birthdays and such like. So we put it out there. Would anyone like to be part of, the crafting circle? That's what we called it. The crafting circle. Please let us know and we'll set up a separate WhatsApp group. Okay, so roll on to beginning of October, and the first crafting circle occurred. And I think I had 4 or 5 people around to my house one Friday night. Lovely. We were all sitting there crocheting. I did very simple crocheting, I've got to say. I was sticking to my single stitch. Other people were doing doubles and triples, but I kept a single. It was successful. And anyway, what happened the next day was hilarious, because I put a couple of photos on the WhatsApp group of, this is our crafting circle group, all going well. It exploded. And we got 20 new people. No joke. The next day, 20 new people said, oh, we really, really want to join. So we've got our next one in November. And we've got so many people that want to come along and crochet or knit or whatever. And I think because it is not seen in any way, shape, or form as, in a sense, linked to school, everyone is just so excited about coming. And it's not that being linked to school is a bad thing, but I think it just allows people to really separate and go, do you know what? We're just going to go and craft with each other. And what was so lovely about it, Shelley, is that I was chatting away to people that I see all day, every day, about crafting and homes and all sorts of things I would rarely talk to them about.
Yeah, you don't often have those moments. We did something certainly within our department. Gosh, when was it? Earlier this year. There's a fantastic art group in our local area. There's a wonderful artist who does sessions called Painting and Prosecco. And a number of us went along from, again, our department to go and paint. I've got I have to share it online later on. I can't draw more than stick people on the board in my classroom.
Yeah,
I'm terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I managed to, it was a step-by-step thing. It was absolutely brilliant. And we all painted a Highland cow each. And it was wonderful.
No.
And I was astounded, absolutely astounded, because I just, art is not my strong point. But again, it's finding something as a team that you might like to do. Not everybody, and I think this bit's important, not everybody necessarily wants to socialise with the people from their team. And I think that can be difficult sometimes. You've got to kind of find that balance. I'm lucky I've worked in the most amazing teams, but I know from a wellbeing point of view, WhatsApp groups can be difficult, because I'm aware of the fact that not everybody then gets added to WhatsApp groups, and there are alternative WhatsApp groups, and that bit can be quite difficult as well. and kind of negotiating as well. If you've got these groups, okay, what is discussed in these groups? How formal are they, and what they are as well? I think that can be equally a bit of a minefield.
Welcome to Teachers Talk Radio. Thank you for listening.
This show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Don't miss out. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. Happy reading.
Are you a teacher who has concerns about your students' low reading levels? Are you also worried disadvantaged students won't be able to catch up? The online reading development program, Dreambox Reading Plus, adapts to a student's skill level, accelerates reading progress, and helps students acquire a wide vocabulary. The patented technology develops reading fluency and supports the transition to increased text complexity from Key Stage 2 to Key Stage 3 and 4, where language and vocabulary are more challenging. You can try the program with a free 4-week pilot today. Search Reading Solutions UK to find their website and request your free pilot.
How do we stop teachers marking books on their kitchen table on a Sunday night instead of wanting to spend time with their family? Is live marking truly cutting-edge practice? What if I told you that I could provide evidence of verbal feedback and its impact on student outcomes? Now, traditional marking, time and time again, is reported as the #1 reason why teachers leave the profession. It trumps behaviour issues and teacher salary. In Guide to Feedback, I share 9 case study skills that demonstrate 9 different ways to provide marking and feedback, all evidenced by student outcomes. Now, not every school will be ready for this, but hopefully you are ready to start your Feed Up and Feed Forward journey.
The Teacher Toolkit Guide to Feedback is out now, and you can get an exclusive 30% discount when you order Teacher Toolkit Guide to Feedback from bloomsbury.com. Just use the code TTRGTF at the checkout. That's TTRGTF, and it expires 30th of November. Happy reading.
Do you ever wish you could sit down with other teachers and delve into the challenges and opportunities we face? Well, that's exactly what Table Talks at Bet UK is all about. Join small roundtable discussions based on your selected topics to share insights, learn from peers, and tackle the big issues in education, all in a sponsor-free environment. This is your chance to connect and collaborate like never before. Be part of the conversation at Bet UK in January 2025. Visit uk.betshow.com to learn more.
Welcome to Teachers Talk Radio. Thank you for listening.
Just reminding listeners that if any of you have blinding ideas that you're doing in your school that are just really impacting on well-being, do just press the mic, and then and you will put you on as a speaker so you can share your great ideas as well. Yeah. And I love the fact that Evan, who's listening from across the pond, says that it aligns with his educator wellbeing advocacy. So that's fantastic, Evan, because I think it's so important that, you know, we really put educator wellbeing front and center, because without educator wellbeing, we can't support the young people, you know, in our classrooms. We've got to. I remember doing some training on regulation and them talking about that the most important thing is ensuring that we are regulated, that we are balanced, that we are feeling, you know, calm and together before we even begin to think about regulating a child. And I think that's so much the same with well-being. We've really, really got to focus on our well-being and what makes us feel good. So moving away slightly from in-school things, Shelley, what external things make you feel good?
Oh, wow.
I know. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Feel free not to
Wow.
expose everything here,
Oh, no,
because
that's
there are
fine.
listeners
I'm very
listening.
much.
But I'm just, what sort of things do you think? Do you know what? Whether it's getting, this sounds very female, but getting your nails done, or going out for coffee, what things make you feel good and really recharge your battery?
I think it is important to have that balance, and I make sure that for at least half an hour every single evening, I sit down and I read. And for me, that's my outlet. So craft might be, there's got to be something that isn't necessarily education related that you're doing, and I could disappear into books for absolutely hours. That's my form of escape. But I live by the rule in this house: if it's not written on the calendar, it doesn't happen, because
Ooh.
everything is so busy.
Mm.
I've spent the weekend kind of running around after children who have got a very active social life as well. But kind of spending that time, I know that coming up in the next month, so the first weekend in November, I'm seeing another teaching friend, and we've both moved on to different schools. But every single year, we go to the local fireworks display together, and our families get together. We have a meal together before we go out. That bit's really important. The weekend after, family time, North Petherton Carnival. If anybody has not visited the carnivals in the Southwest during carnival season, an absolute must. Absolutely fantastic. The weekend after that, going away with two of my best friends for a spa weekend. And then the weekend, there's something else. Oh, then the weekend after that, again, best friends, there's the Rural Living show. And again, it's an annual thing. We go to the show, and then we go for a Christmas themed afternoon tea afterwards. So the weekends are busy, but I find having things to look forward to makes a huge difference to me.
It
Absolutely.
really does. I couldn't agree more. I think having those things in the diary, my mother has lived by that to this day. God bless her. What is she now? She's 82. She's got Alzheimer's, but she still needs something to look forward to. And
Yeah.
if she doesn't, she feels incredibly down. But she's always been like that. Now, I'm just going to remind everyone about our sponsors, and we've got the show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit johncattbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. And I'm also going to remind you about Reading Solutions UK. Reading Solutions UK is the home of Dreambox Reading Plus, the online reading development program. Create stronger readers in your school from Key Stage 2 to beyond GCSE using Reading Plus's evidence-based adaptive technology. Reading Plus accurately assesses your students' skills gaps and places them on a personalised learning pathway built to accelerate their strengths and improve on their areas for development. You can try the program with a free 4-week pilot today. Search Reading Solutions UK to find their website and request your free pilot. Now, I believe, Evan, you have come on as a speaker, and I want to talk a little bit about well-being for you, and what it means to you. Are you there, Evan? So
Hello,
tell us
thank
a
you.
little bit about, you're saying that it really aligns with what you're thinking about our well-being.
Most definitely. So, the topic is very near and dear to my heart, and I speak
Hmm.
from lived experience of experiencing burnout from the highest level. I was a high level education administrator here in the States, and
Wow.
things for me just came to a head. And just the whole idea of the work that we do is focused on always serving others. Oftentimes for us, because the nature of who we are, it's challenging for us to begin to set our priorities and say the word no. right? So for me, because I'm also a recovering people pleaser, and suffer some imposter syndrome for many things, and also experiencing compassion fatigue, and also just the amount of stress that we experience as educators, and especially when you get into the level of administration, it's challenging. And for me, I didn't have sustainable coping skills to deal with the stressors and pressures. So in turn, I did turn to other means of terms of alcohol, substance use, etc., to try to cope with that. And eventually everything came to a head. It was a burnout. I had a mental illness crisis and found myself in a hospitalization program for substance use and mental illness. But during that time, though, when I thought it was actually my darkest point, it actually was a time for reflection, for rest, and healing. And while I was in the program, three themes kept resonating with me throughout my time there. The first one was the idea of balance. So many times we hear people talking about work-life balance and what you need to do and how to balance your family life and your work, or between your spouse and your children. But the reflection that I began to realize is that balance, in terms of the way we often think about it, in terms of being equal, does not exist, because life ebbs and flows. So it's really about understanding balance in terms of equity, in terms of putting the time, energy, and efforts into people and activities, in terms of what they need when they need it, but also that are going to reciprocate to you as well. Because oftentimes we don't think about that point. The second thing was boundaries. And it wasn't so much about understanding the boundaries of others, but it was about me implementing my own boundaries and accepting the fact and being powerful enough and being strong enough to say the word no, because that word is extremely powerful. Two letters in one word is extremely powerful to say no. And because, as I said, I was a people pleaser suffering from imposter syndrome, and believe it or not, as much as I had accomplished, still some low self-esteem, I wanted to try to help everybody. Right. And the reality is you can't be everything for everybody. You have to learn to say no and be okay with it, because people and human beings, by our nature, right, are about self-preservation. So even if there's no malintent, human beings will drain you if you allow them to do so. And so you have to understand that saying no and putting up a boundary is okay. And you'll also begin to see how people really feel about you, right, when you say no. But because the education system, at least here in the United States, from what I can speak to, a lot of it is grounded in underlying current of a environment, a culture of martyrdom, and we buy into that. So people will try to guilt you and say, "Oh, you're doing it for the kids, and what about the children?" And then we feel bad, but we forget about, if we don't prioritize our own self, right, and do what we need to do, we're not going to be good for anyone else anyway. So what difference does it make? The last theme was, for me and my B's, was breaks. And it really referred to the pause, right? And being taking the time out. This is the self-care you all were earlier talking about. What is it that you do to make sure you're well, taking care of your own well-being, right? And for me, I recognized that, for one, I was an extremist. Everything was an extreme no matter what. The most that I did, if I was doing something that was non-sustainable, not healthy, I was going to be the best. If it wasn't, I was still going to be the best if it was professionally, right? And then the other part was that I never took the time to smell the roses and celebrate my successes, because I was so busy trying to compare myself to others and try to play catch up and prove that I was better than. Every step that I took professionally did nothing more than just another step. And in the Western society versus Eastern societies and cultures in the world, everything is fast paced. We're all about what's next. It's a microwave society. We don't take the time to pause, to breathe, to relax, to celebrate what we're able to do and take care of ourselves. And for me, I realized that when I was in my hospitalization program, not only being in the program, but also the time I needed to take off, I was off for 3 months for my mental health and well-being to heal and restore. this is the overall reflection for my last B that was so critical in terms of breaks.
Yeah.
And I realized is that I had enough vacation, sick, and personal days in my bank as an employer and as an employee that I could use, that it did not even interrupt me getting paid. 3 months worth. That just shows in 5 years I had accumulated that much time because I was not taking care of myself. My family and we stopped taking family vacations because I was pouring so much into work, and my children started playing athletics. I poured into that, which I love the athletics and coaching and supporting my children. But I also stopped doing those things. I wasn't taking, when I was sick, I was still going into work. When I was,
When you're talking, Evan, I'm thinking about our listeners actually, and I think you are speaking to so many of their stories.
Yes.
Because this whole thing, I was talking to Shelley, and I know she's got a story to tell actually about burnout. The fact that actually we are in a profession where we prioritize the needs of others.
100%.
Absolutely, whether
100%.
people believe that or not about
It's true.
us, that's what we do. And I think your guidance for balance, boundaries, and breaks are so vital, because otherwise we lose ourselves within all of it. We absolutely do.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful for you and your honesty, because I think it is a really great warning for anyone that's on that trajectory that you were on, where actually what they're doing is work is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the world outside work is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And if you don't mind, Evan, I'm just going to jump to Shelley again, because I know she wanted to share something about burnout, which she felt was really important.
Yeah. I started doing my teacher training in 2007. And in 2008, I did my second placement at an amazing school where I'd actually been a student myself at sixth form. And I worked with the most fantastic teacher. He was dedicated, he was passionate, he lived for his students. He was also a father with 2 young children. And over the years, we kind of kept in touch after I'd qualified, and I moved to a different area of the country, but then was really saddened to see a social media post to see that he'd sadly died of a heart attack. And one of the contributing factors was work-related stress and burnout. And that was really sad. He was only in his late 30s at the time, as I say, father of 2 young children. And it was kind of that sobering moment, and completely see where Evan's coming from. And I know that I'm really guilty of it myself. I'm a people pleaser, and I've been told for many years I need to learn the word no. And it is something that I'm not particularly good at as an educator. I will take on different projects, I will do different things, but certainly a colleague, someone that you've worked with, somebody that was a real person, not just someone that you've perhaps read about online, or somebody that's made the news, but somebody that you've actually worked with, and to kind of have that moment of, wow, he was putting so much into his job, he was working such long hours. And that's where we need to make sure that we are looking after ourselves, and we are putting those boundaries in place as well.
I think it's so incredibly challenging. It really is. And I've got a good friend who taught me that, because I find saying no just so hard. I really do.
Yeah.
And they taught me this phrase. So I challenge all of you this week to use this phrase. When someone's asked you to do something and your whole body is saying no, but your voice wants to go yes, this is what you need to say. Let me get back to you on that.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've got to do that. Let me get back to you on that. But you do it with a smile, and you do it with a sort of cheery sort of disposition. And what happens is that when you go away and you have your moment of reflection, you think, good gosh, I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
It actually gives you that little bit of strength to say, no,
Yes.
But I think we need, as educators, to begin to put, as you said, Evan, those boundaries up. We've got to begin to place them up, because otherwise what happens is we're continually giving, and it's so hard. And what happens then is we burn out.
Yes.
Now, moving on from that, I want to talk about what really matters, because I was chatting to a young member of staff, actually. Young in my world. He's like 27. And so I was chatting to him, and he was just like, do you know what, Toria? I don't know how I can do this job, for the next 30, 40 years. I just don't. He said, because I'm already exhausted. And I said, well, you just need to not sweat the small stuff. And he said, but I just don't know how to do that. So, I wonder, how do we judge? I'm going to come to you for this, Shelley. How do we judge what's important and what's not? How do we weigh that up? And how do we support those coming into the profession to know, so that they aren't leaving the profession after a few years, which is what's happening in the UK. And I have no doubt, Evan, is happening in the US.
100%. 100%. 100%.
So what do you think?
Go ahead, Shelley. I don't want to interrupt.
Let's go to Shelley first, then I'll come to you, Evan.
Okay.
Again, I think it's really important that it's not just our younger teachers need strong teams around them to help them.
Yeah.
They need that help. They need that guidance. They need that support. We make sure as a team, we've got a Teach First joining us after the holidays. And again, it's about making sure that those structures are in place to help them learn about how to prioritize their time. So for us, we have set out early in the year when assessments roughly are going to be, and then we have dates that we need the marking done by, so we're able to manage our time effectively. So what's coming and when it's coming, so that nothing is a surprise. I will forever be a fan of writing lists to help me prioritize. I need everything there in black and white in front of me, so I can see what needs to be done and when it needs to be done, and even color coding it. Things that need to be done today, things that need to be done, this week, things that need to be done in the next 2 weeks. That's what works for me. Might not necessarily work for other people, but it helps in that respect for me to have it very clearly in front of me as to what we're doing. But it's about creating a culture within a school as well, so that younger teachers can see where we're up to. Things like starting and finishing times. I've seen the posts online before where people have said, I feel like I'm being shamed because I leave at a certain time. Don't feel shamed.
No.
People, again, you have to work what's best for you. I've got a fantastic colleague within my department. She is in school every morning by 6:45.
Wow.
That is what works for her. She usually leaves then. We finish teaching at 3:20. She will normally then be out of the door by 3:45.
Oh, wow.
Because she's had that time in the morning. She works really well. She loves the fact that at that time in the morning, the school is completely empty. It's completely quiet. And she has got a good, hour and a quarter to crack on and do what she needs to do without other people, because we're all guilty of it. We'll go into the office and we'll pop in for something, and 20 minutes later we've been talking about absolute nonsense, and then we think, I've still got these things to do. She finds the time that she can focus. She says she's a self-confessed early riser herself anyway. That works for her. Then she can finish a bit earlier, and she feels that she's still got an evening. I've got my youngest has just turned 8. The earliest I can potentially drop him off in the morning is 7:30. I don't like dropping him off that early, because to me it just feels too early and I feel really guilty. But I do try and be at my desk for 8:00 in the morning, so I've got time to get myself organised. But there will be some days where, quite honestly, I will pack everything up and by 3:30 I'm out of the door because I've got other things that I need to do, whether it's as a parent or just as a person. So managing that time and not feeling guilty for coming and going as and when you need to, I think is really important. There are some nights where, I've still been there at 5:30 and I've still been working. But it's about, again, your own personal circumstances and what works best for you. And I think that's one thing that I've seen the most on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. You do you, and you have to find what works best for you. And it's one of those age-old things. You see the arguments that come up inevitably in the summer for some people that have decided to do some work, some people that have not decided that, no, they're not going to do any work. You have to do what works for you. What works for you is not necessarily going to work for the person in the classroom next to you or the person down the corridor. We all have our own individual ways of working. I do like to do that little bit during the holidays, as we've already discussed. Mm-hmm. But my hard and fast rule is, when it comes to Christmas, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Those 2 weeks at Christmas are just for me and my family time. But again, there will be other people who will want to do things. And if that's, I think what really matters in answer to your question is what works for you and what makes you happy. And don't be sucked into the debates and the arguments that you might see online. You do you.
I think you're absolutely right. And it's funny because I'm listening to you thinking, I, as well as teaching in school, I also coach some of the teachers in school. And it's really interesting. Everyone's different in the way that what their priorities are and what works for them. And it's funny that the way everyone does their to-do list, the way what matters to people is different. And what actually causes stress to everyone is different. Some people like working the whole day, some people don't like working the whole day. So some people like coming in early, some people like preferring to work, when they go home at night or whatever. I mean, our school it's interesting. You can get in from 7:15, but it shuts at 5:30. And initially, I found that so stressful, Shelley. I literally found it stressful being kicked out at 5:30 because I was like, no, I don't know that I want to finish working when you tell me that I need to finish working. But it is so good for my well-being because it really enables me to get stuff done in the time that I'm there. And I try really hard not to do anything in the evening, because the evening for me is time when I go and do Pilates, or I go and do I'm going to confess something to you, Shelley, actually. I'm going to pretend the listeners aren't here, okay? This is a dreadful confession. So I have a game on my phone that I just love playing. What's even worse is it's a little town game. I'm building a town. This morning, I put a river in. And do you know what? For my well-being, it's phenomenal. I love it.
Oh, it's
And every
brilliant.
so often,
I love.
I go and feed the sheep, and I feel like I've been at my farm. And do you know what? It genuinely, for my well-being, coming home and doing half an hour of my town, which and I do wonder if any of our listeners have equally horrendous confessions that they also are on Farmville or Townville or anything else like that. But I do think that those sort of things, that's what works for me. It doesn't necessarily work for everyone. My husband looks at my town and thinks it's a horrendous waste of time. Can't understand why I like it. But it works for me.
I mean,
it really does.
To be fair, Tori, for me, I'm the same, but not a town.
Oh, really?
Yes, I don't. Not on my.
Well, I feel so much better that my confession just wasn't falling on deaf ears and people thinking, "Good God."
Well, everyone, loads of people enjoy gaming. I mean, it's pretty common in it. I mean, I just don't build a town. I tend to blow stuff up.
Okay.
So it's sort of Command and Conquer. I don't know if you've heard of it, but essentially I'm sort of, trying to take over the world, basically blow everything up.
Nice.
And yeah, I do that sometimes, or Risk. Don't know if you've heard the game Risk. The actual board
Risk,
game.
I haven't played Risk since
Well,
university.
there's a
I
digital
was never very
version of
good at
it.
it then.
There's a digital version of it, so I quite enjoy.
Is there?
Yeah, it's free as well, so you have to check that out. It's quite good. So
Everyone's going to be checking that
it
out.
Definitely helps me to switch off. Although, you know, if you lose in games like that, it actually can ruin your mental health for like a day afterwards. But that's another story. Or if it's too addictive, like Football Manager, for example, I had to stop playing it because it took too much time. It was too addictive. Whereas other games, you can play them for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maximum an hour or whatever, and then that's it. And you move on. Whereas a Football Manager, like, I have to get back on to see if I've signed that player or to see, what's going to happen in the next game.
I think that's why I like my town thing, because my town thing's very non-competitive. I'm just slowly building it. And I love what Kimberly said. Kimberly said it's not horrendous if it works for you. And I think that's the key. Well-being is what works for any of us. It's whatever makes us happy, whatever makes us feel calm. And actually, just going back through a couple of the texts we've received, Sarah said about hitting the nail on the head when it comes to the importance of us feeling regulated and restored in order to support our children. We cannot continually give. We need to put those boundaries in place in order to protect ourselves and be the best for our children. And I love the fact she says that there are some great ideas on here being blethered around. And I think there really are. I would encourage all listeners to when we put this out as an episode, do share it, because I think it's so important for people to be listening to this and really be considering what works best for them. Now, I know Evan disappeared, and I think he's returned. No, he's disappeared again. I was going to get Evan back on to share things, but he has disappeared again. So I will just quickly mention Mr. Barnes has said that he loves the secret buddy system. Now, I had a question about that, Shelley. Have you ever had someone in the secret buddy system that has that has spent a small fortune on someone else that has not spent a small fortune, and then they've been upset?
That's actually a discussion that has taken place in our office in the last week. Obviously, you have no idea who you're paired up with, but it did kind of transpire this week that a member of my department has already treated their secret buddy 3 times, but has actually not heard anything from their secret buddy yet. So again, that could be like a downfall of the system, and hopefully it'll be reported back to the lovely member of staff that organises it all, because I think it's really important. It works on goodwill. And we do all have those busy moments, and if somebody's genuinely forgotten, fair enough. But yeah, but on the whole, I've walked in before and I've seen somebody. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? They're like, oh, look, this is what I've got for my secret buddy, and the happiness that it actually brings the person that is giving the gifts as well. Because I think that's one of the things that, as an adult, I absolutely love about Christmas. It doesn't bother me. I could quite happily have nothing on Christmas morning. I don't care about that. But making other people happy with the things that I've been able to give them makes a huge difference. But yeah, secret buddies, certainly when we've just done it on a department level, has always worked really, really well. And it is very enjoyable.
Well, something that we're trialing in year 4 this year. We've got, I think there's 13 of us. There are 13 of us. No, there aren't. There are 14 of us in the year group this year. So something we're trialing is a birthday pot thing. Because what I found last year, and this sounds really silly, but actually when it's your birthday, I don't know about you lot, but it's just nice for someone to say hi, happy birthday. Just that little bit of recognition. And some people were getting massive presents and cards from people, and some people were getting, basically nothing. And I felt like I just wanted to create a bit of balance going across. So I suggested to my team, well, why don't we do a birthday pot? We've got 14 people in the team, so why don't we just give £1 per person in, and then on your birthday, your person in your classroom, because we've got a teacher and an a learning support assistant in every classroom. The other person will get card and present from the team to you. And I was waiting for people to go, yeah, but it's like when we're in present. But no one did, not one person. Everyone said that's a really lovely idea. So I've collected in all the £14, and at the beginning of everyone's birthday, well, a week before everyone's birthday, I'll give out to the various people their £14, and we're going to see how that goes. It was an idea that that I saw once in another school, and I thought, actually, let's see if that works, because I think it is about creating that equilibrium, as well as, is that the right word? Equilibrium?
Yeah.
As well as making sure that, everyone, well, I suppose getting everyone to feel that they are equally supported within it. I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
I like that. We've got our department notice board within the office, and there is a member of the team that is in charge of making sure that the birthday wall is updated. So we've got a poster up, and it's got everybody's birthday there on the wall, so that we can see in advance. Everybody always gets a card around the office, and usually we eat a ridiculous amount of biscuits, cakes.
You've mentioned this to me before about the level of biscuits that you eat in your department.
We eat so many biscuits, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It'll be one of those that there's no rota system, but we might take it in turns and go and buy 4 packets of biscuits and shove them in the tin, and you can always tell what kind of week we're all having as to how long these biscuits actually last. But it's quite normal it's almost like we're pre-programmed. We walk into the office and we'll be talking to everybody, but we'll be walking to the table at the same time. There's a biscuit tin in the middle of the table, and it's very disappointing if you ever open it and there's nothing in there. But but every now and again, so we had open evening last month, and the school put food on for us in the canteen in the evening. So it's kind of like sandwiches, cakes and things like that. And we had students kind of wandering around and with slices of pizza. We're like, guys, where'd you get that from? Well, the PE department, miss, have got pizza. And then the history department have got McDonald's. And so my head of department and I looked at each other and like, oh dear, we've let our team down here. We've not supplied them with goodies. What's going on? So the next morning, our head of department, bless her, had stopped off on the way and bought pastries for everybody. So there were pastries in the office, and there'll be moments every now and again we will do that. We'll kind of take it in turns, just to kind of treat each other and treat the team. We've got wonderful bakers within our team. And it treats like that, certainly when it comes to a Friday. Although in our team, it can be any day of the week. It doesn't matter. If we're making sweet treats are there.
Everyone's going to be applying to be in your team from now on, honestly. The level of biscuits going on.
I know, yeah. It's we're well known, but that is the reason that the lovely member of staff who's in charge of like booking supply and cover and various bits always sends the supply teachers to our office, because they know that they're going to be well looked after. We've got our tea station. We've got kind of just a communal tea, coffee and everything on the side that people can help themselves to. It's a very welcoming office. And again, that's really important. We have that moment. We can go off. We can fire off if we need to. We can cry if we need to. You know that you're always going to find someone in there that has got your back completely and is there for you. And we always kind of we all tend to kind of pile into our head of department's room at the end of the day and just have a bit of a debrief as well, so that you can get everything off your chest before you leave the building, which I think is also really important. I'm kind of in the position My husband's away again at the moment. Not a clue where in the world he is, but hopefully he'll be back soon. Who knows? But he's away. So for me, when I go home in the evening, I've got my children here, and that's wonderful. But having another adult to speak to about what happened in your day can be a really, really powerful thing. And not everybody necessarily has partners, children, loved ones at home. We know, and I saw it again online over the summer, that sense of loneliness and that sense of isolation when you're on your own all summer, and perhaps you've not got the family around you and all of your friends aren't teachers. And it's that moment. So certainly having that debrief together at the end of the day where we can share the successes, kind of bemoan anything that's gone wrong, again, is really important, because you feel that you can leave the building with that weight lifted and you're not pondering over it in the evenings. It can make a huge difference. But that's again where the group WhatsApp chat comes in. We had, tough weather conditions in the last few weeks, and last week it felt tough. But I could sit down on Friday night and I thought, actually, I had the most amazing time with Year 11 doing an inspector calls. So I just quickly fired off into the WhatsApp group. This went really, really well today. It was wonderful to see they were engaged. They did this, and this. And actually what that then started was the snowball of everybody sharing their positives. It's very difficult sometimes to be a teacher. And there is sometimes this focus on all of the negative things, but actually taking that time to celebrate your successes, no matter how small they are. For one member of staff, particularly tricky student who sometimes does struggle to be in the classroom, they've managed to keep that student in for the entire lesson. And that was a success, but we could share those successes. I think it's really important for our own well-being that we do focus on the positives as well. It'd be really easy to be overtaken by all of the negativity, but actually we are all doing the most amazing job. Teachers are superheroes. Teachers have decided that they want to spend their lives educating and helping the next generation to evolve. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes. We get bogged down by certain publications, who shall remain nameless, making us out to be public enemy number one, and it's happened for too many years, and we get caught up in that narrative as well. And actually what we do is life-changing for so many students, and we need to celebrate the fact that we're amazing.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted, to do this show, the Sunday Social, every fortnight, so I could talk to people like you about how amazing educators are, about what we're doing to really, impact on the lives of our young people and so on. And just reminding you, listeners, that this is on Teacher Taught Radio, and that it's brought to you today in partnership with John Cat Educational, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools and around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit johncatbookshop.com to explore the full range of titles. Use the code JCTTR2425 for 20% off your order. And also reminding you about Reading Solutions UK. Reading Solutions UK is the home of Dreambox Reading Plus, the online reading development programme. Create stronger readers in your school from Key Stage 2 to beyond GCSE using Reading Plus's evidence-based adaptive technology. Reading Plus accurately assesses your students' skills gaps and places them on a personalised learning pathway built to accelerate their strengths and improve on their areas for development. You can try the programme with a free 4-week pilot today. Search Reading Solutions UK to find their website and request your free pilot. And Shelley, we've touched on so much this morning. We really have. And I think, you mentioned the importance of culture, the importance of, being welcoming, the importance of support. I think all of those things are absolutely vital, because as teachers, we can sometimes feel like we're mini islands that don't actually have anything to do with anyone else. And it can feel incredibly lonely. I love the fact that I need to find the text in, but it was Mr. Barnes said that in his staff, they have a group of staff that run together. They've got staff badminton and football Friday to support wellbeing, and that actually they're great promoters of exercise at his school. And I really do think that sense of community really enhances well-being. So what would your tip be, Shelley? I'm putting you on the spot here. For that teacher that is feeling isolated, lonely, feeling like the autumn term is never going to come to an end, what would your top tips be?
Communicate with the people around you. Definitely. Yeah. That has to be the top one. You won't be the only one that is feeling like that. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. There will be other people within your team, within your department, within your school who are feeling exactly the same. It's about, I suppose, being brave and being bold and actually voicing that. I'm lucky. I work within a team where we're really quick to voice if we're feeling a particular way. But definitely communicate. Take some time for you. You have an identity outside of teaching. First, we are teachers, we're educators, but we're human beings as well. So make sure that you do take some time outside of the classroom to do something that makes you happy as well. It doesn't have to be linked to education, but it's something that takes you away and makes you smile and helps you relax for a certain amount of time as well. And plan things in is my top thing. Like we talked about earlier on, I have to have something to look forward to. I'm very lucky. We've been able to book our holiday for next summer. Up until this summer, I'd never been on holiday during the summer. I'd stayed in the UK, but actually having something to look forward to really helped me towards the end of the year. So whether it's time with your department, time with friends, going somewhere that you really, really want to go, plan in something at least once a month that you really enjoy, and take that time to make sure that you've got that balance. Because if you're not happy in yourself, it's going to reflect in your work.
Oh, great top tips. Tom, I'm going to come to you.
Oh, geez.
What would your top? Yeah, I know you probably were like, hey.
I've just been tweeting what Shelley's been saying.
Here, but no, I have not. You may come on and give us your top tips.
Top tips. Be as specific as you can on top tips. Top tips for teacher wellbeing.
Top tips for that individual that's feeling isolated, lonely, panicking about the fact the autumn term is never coming to an end. Yeah. What would your top tips be for that person?
Probably not to be too hard on yourself, isn't it? Because it is one of them. You're just getting a bit of a bubble, and just think that it's never going to end. You're not doing a very good job. Lose all your life outside school if you haven't lost it already, and just become like that. Now, in terms of getting out of that, obviously having a coach like you, Tori, in school would have been, I think you coach people at, what did you say to me, in the morning sometimes before you even start teaching?
7:15 to 8:15.
Bloody hell. I know Jamie's here. I think Jamie does a bit of that as well. I'm pretty sure in his job, bit of early morning coaching in there in the school. But having someone like that, finding someone like that in the school would have helped me in the past. I guess it's just hoping there's someone there who is like that and has a bit of insight to share with you and stuff like that, and time to do that. I can't really think of anything. I mean, beyond all the usual stuff we say, that would be probably the number one, is not to be too hard on yourself.
But I think that's so, so important. I think as educators, we can be our own worst enemies, banging ourselves over the head, saying that we're not doing it well enough, we're not doing it perfectly enough. We have the pressure of the number, our children on our shoulders, the fact that, feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm letting them down, I'm letting my team down, But actually, I think you're absolutely right. We need to ensure that we're not being too hard on ourselves. And I think, I would encourage all the listeners out there to prioritize your well-being, really consider what you can do for yourself today, and just being aware of others in your team, and just saying, if you're having a hard time of it, just letting someone know. Because actually, all too often we suffer in silence because we think, oh, I can't let anyone know, because I can't let anyone know that it's a bit tricky. But actually, I think you'll find, as I know Shelley's touched on, you're not the only one. And now, sadly, people, I did not know, if I'm honest, how I was going to fill 90 minutes, but we appear to have done it, which is nothing short of miracle. I do like to talk and I do like to chat. So I'm so, so grateful that you've all joined me this morning. And, for future shows, it's going to be every fortnight. Do let me know what topics you would find really helpful to discuss in our Sunday socials, because, I'm completely up for suggestions. Thank you so much, Tom, for being there. I'm so grateful that you have been there. Big thank you to Evan for coming on from across the water. And now, finally, I want to thank you, Shelley. I'm really, really grateful for all the insights that you shared with us this morning and for coming on our Sunday social. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Very exciting time.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.